Yes, certainly. It is nice to meet you as well. I believe you are Raffaello. Yes? I do remember you not being here when we discussed the... Well, step into my office. I mean, are you gonna follow her? Um, she essentially started talking about some sort of arrangement between you and the rest of the group and then asked you to follow her to the office.
Actually, there's a thing. Which ability would it be to read someone's mind? Because I'm pretty sure it's not one of the level 4 or 5 or 3 ones.
It's telepathy. You can read the mind as well as, uh, project into it. You can do it on vampires if you spend willpower points. Otherwise, it's
Okay.
just mortals. So clearly, she decided that you are worth the effort to prod around in your head. Ah, my dear, I do recall you not being there. I trust you have been informed of the arrangement, and that, well, I know full well that you supported certain distasteful acts, and I can prove it. Being that you are an accomplice in said distasteful acts, it is in your best interests to stay my friend and be appropriately grateful to me for keeping such things quiet and concealing them from the others. In short, she's saying she owns you. Uh, I mean, before the previous session, you did say that you supported diablerie, and I took control of Raffaello, and well, you were there, you didn't stop it, much like Karen. You are all considered accomplices in diablerizing vampires, one of which turned out to be the sheriff. Hence, you're in deep shit if anyone finds out.
So what was the deal that we made with her?
Well, you didn't make a deal. She's essentially telling you that you do what she wants, or you're screwed. Essentially,
No.
it's not a specific deal, it's whatever I decide kind of a thing. You belong to me now. So how do you respond to this? I mean, do you say anything to her? Or do you just nod? What does Raffaello do? Bacon? Okay, so you just sit there, stupefied. My dear, I will make this very simple. I just want you to understand where we stand. You can't afford to be my enemy, and you can benefit a great deal from being my friend. That is all. Pure and simple. Well, for you to work with me, of course. And of course, as all less experienced friends should, follow my guidance. Oh, my dear, this isn't that simple. You are done with this when I say you are done. You do what I say you do. There is no specific set of services you can render to get off the hook, so to say. This will last as long as I want this to last. I just want you to be absolutely clear as to where we stand. Yeah, well, as long as the current prince is in power anyway. After that, people might not really care all that much, and you might have enough status to just blow, survive it. Well, maybe a smidge. And no, you don't need to kill anyone. She just wants to make sure that you understand that she owns you.
Yes, I understand the situation that we are in.
Excellent, my dear. Do circle around. There are a great many important people here. You should go out and meet them. Make some contacts. They will be useful in the future, I'm sure. And yeah, she's probably gonna be willing to back Serath for the Primogen seat when it comes time to actually force your way onto the council. Simply because, well, you're the easiest to control due to her having the best blackmail position on you.
As expected.
But yeah, you can actually pick someone to talk to and head out there. The prince's secretary, namely this character, is here. You will have seen her, or rather Raffaello will have seen her. She is a ghoul, or was a ghoul, that was talking with the prince. Or rather, not talking with the prince, but serving as the prince's secretary. And she's like the first NPC character other than the lord that you met. At least a named one. So, there's the Keeper of the Elysium, Cory Bishop. There's the Malk Nurse, which came up. There's the Angry Bruja guy. There is in fact the Ventral Primogen and her child as well. So, how do you want to do this? I assume you just want to start earning some status impressing people, right?
I'm posing for a statue right now, so.
Yeah, Alberta, deciding that it's been long enough for you to get ready, is gonna head over in that direction. So you two walk out. Raffaello, you are...
Like, I've been there already, but I didn't know where you wanted me to go.
Yeah, you know, just you're both gone. Just, wherever. Raffaello, it's your scene. What do you want to do? How do you want to handle this? The two toreadors seem to be talking about a club that one of them wants to open and is apparently running into a wall due to not having a suitable backer.
I go near them and say, I heard that you are looking for someone to back a business.
She looks you up and down, and you are?
I am Raffaello from the Tremere clan.
Ah, yes, I recall speaking to... what was his name? The other one actually speaks up. Malik, I think it was? Malik something or other. Yes, Malik. Yes, Malik.
Malik Wormwood.
Yes, Malik Wormwood, yes. He mentioned that you might be able to provide the backing I need, and certainly having someone who can dominate the mortals and has enough influence in politics to arrange for permits and such would be useful. But I'm not convinced that your coterie, weak and uninfluential as it is strong enough to act as a suitable partner. Though admittedly, the more influential vampires, they would have me be as little more than a manager in my own club. And I will not be shunted off to the side in my own project. I mean, if you want to convince her, then go for it.
I don't know how to convince her.
Well, you're essentially selling your skills, right? So, you need to convince her that you are not only able to handle the mortals, but you can convince the immortals to stay the fuck away as well. The Brura seems to, along with his friend Dr. House there, seem to be listening to the conversation while trying to be not too obvious about it. They seem to be rather interested in Tremere for some reason.
I wonder why.
I mean, one of them hates your guts. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, you could always mention something that Malik certainly does not have, that you have influence or at least can trade favors with the criminal underground. And you certainly have the skills to control mortals as well, as far as disciplines are concerned.
Well, Mistress, I got lots of influence with immortals, and still, my powers of persuasion are beyond what you heard.
I do believe your Malik said as well that he has similar abilities. Then again, a great many people, especially the Ventru, have some influence or know someone who has some influence with the city bureaucracy. I can certainly find that elsewhere. And the problem is that some more powerful kindred may well try to muscle in on my business. That worries me far more than handling the mortals. I have plenty of options as far as that is concerned.
Domination, it works on vampires?
Uh, yes, but with one important exception. They need to be at most equal to you in generation. If they are lower, it just bounces off. The same way that the Lasombra tried to dominate Serath, right? And it just didn't work, even though she spent willpower on it, because Serath is too low gen. It just bounced off. Essentially, you can't dominate vampires that are closer to Cain.
Well, she looked to be someone lower generation?
Who you want to dominate? I mean, she's certainly a neonate and low status enough that people would be ready to risk fucking with her. So yes, keep in mind though, this is Elysium. The use of vampiric powers here is illegal. But you can try. You will need to make 2 rolls in that case, if you do decide to try. Manipulation, subterfuge, to conceal it, and the normal roll for the dominate you're using.
Well, I guess that I will back off and say while leaving.
I mean, you didn't say that you had criminal contacts. You could always try to sell that specifically. But sure. So,
I will say to her that maybe the mortals are more a threat to her business that she thinks, and I will in the future use my criminal contacts to
actually, yes.
blackmail her
If you're
workers.
suggesting that an accident might happen to her business if she doesn't work with you, roll manipulation and
Yes,
intimidation. You can certainly use your basic social skills to fuck with her. Go ahead, roll on that. That's fine. I think you actually have a pretty good roll on that as well. So, yeah, go ahead. So you mentioned that you could be very useful to her and that accidents might happen. She smirks at you, but I mean, there isn't fear in her eyes, but it's almost as if she's calculating. As if, uh, she's not afraid of you, but, well, maybe that could be of some use kind of a thing, you know? So, do you want to meet someone else? Or look for a specific type of person, perhaps? I mean, there's certainly more
I
people here than...
push. I go near the Bruja and Dotto house and speak to them.
Okay.
I realized that you were curious about my conversation.
The Bruja just glares at you. And he just studies you. Please roll perception empathy, actually. Since it's thematically appropriate for reasons that I won't disclose because I am, well, there might be secret shit going on. Okay. Okay, so, wow, that's your perception empathy roll. Yeah. No, he seems perfectly comfortable and at ease. And, yeah, he stretches out a hand and says, Mitchell Walmsley, a pleasure to meet you, while the Bruja just glares at you.
Raffaello Tremere. It's a pleasure to meet you too.
You are new in the city, if I'm not mistaken. And he proceeds to do small talk with you, essentially without saying anything, just being friendly. But it's clear that he's not particularly, well, actually, yeah, he's okay, now that I look at the dots. But yeah, so he's essentially engaging in small talk with you, being likable.
I
Just...
don't like people that are suspicious and likable. They are trouble.
I mean, are you talking about him making a subterfuge roll? On you walking up to him?
No, I just talking my opinion about him. But
Oh,
I think that I leave him after the small talk.
okay, that's fine. You just spend some few minutes chatting and you move on. Alright, is there any kind of particular conversation that you're looking for, or are you just talking to the people who seem important?
Just talking to the people. But I know that I thought, well, I will try to speak to the prince secretary.
Alright, roll perception awareness in this case to detect supernatural stuff. You can use perception alertness if that roll is better, I guess. Okay. You're pretty sure that she's actually a vampire now, whereas she was a mortal before. Apparently someone has turned her in the meantime.
So, you are the Prince's secretary, if I remember?
Indeed, though I believe I may be moving up in the organization in a short while. After I train my replacement, in fact.
I would know if by some chance I could talk to the king.
It's Prince. The official title is Prince.
Okay, Prince, okay.
I talk to the Prince almost daily. What did you have in mind?
I would want you to convince him that the Tremere should have their Chantry back.
The last time the Tremere had the Chantry, the city was plunged into war.
But in the last time, how is our Primus's name was? Cornelius?
Uh,
Was
no, you don't know. I mean, you would know the name of the previous region, but I haven't drawn up a sheet for him or even picked a name, simply because he's dead and gone.
in the last time there was a different region, but now the things will be different in the Tremere clan. I say to her.
Let me be absolutely clear with you. I trust the prince. I trust the prince's cause. I believe he has the best interests of the kindred of this city in mind, and the prince doesn't trust you. I'm certainly not gonna try and change his mind. If anything, I'm gonna distrust you because the prince distrusts you, and I trust his judgment.
If that is like this, so I will leave now.
Alright. Where to? I mean, you do know the ventral primogen is in the next room. Over.
Who is the guy near the fountain?
That is Cory Bishop. He's Alberta's child, and he maintains order in the Elysium. He's the guy who will smack your ass down if you fuck with things too much.
Oh, the security.
Well, it's a bit more prestigious than that, but he's like head security, right? He's the manager of the place, essentially.
Officially.
Officially, yes. Although Alberta is more in charge and he just runs it for her. So, security guy plus a few other things. Essentially, yes. I mean, you can certainly talk to him.
Well, my social skills right now didn't make me some good things. I just think that I made new enemies. So I will leave now, seeing that my presence isn't very
you mean
desired.
enemies with the Princess Secretary?
The Bruja and the Doctor House, they seem suspicious to me.
Yeah, that's fine, but in all honesty, that's not really you. The Bruja just he hates Tremere. It's not really your fault. you couldn't have really done that much to change his mind, certainly not in a single conversation. You can make some sort of social roll, possibly charisma based, to just talk with some of the nobodies and try to look good. Just a generic roll as you walk around and try to be seen and just generally impress people. I mean, if you have you don't have etiquette, so you can use charisma leadership or charisma intimidation. Charisma leadership to seem like a good friendly guy, or charisma intimidation to seem like a badass. Okay, so you try and look like a guy not to be fucked with. A lot of the older vampires seem vaguely amused at this, but some of the newer guys seem vaguely impressed. So you've certainly earned a few points in the awesomeness bank. And while you're doing that, Alberta is having Sarath pose, one arm outstretched in front, the other pulled back, with a fireball summoned in said hand, almost as if you're preparing to throw it, with your chest suitably thrust out and looking awesome. Please roll appearance intimidation to look like a badass. Nope. Alberta just
I have to remove a blood point.
for what?
The fire?
Yeah. You do. Unless you're gonna refuse Alberta, which I assume you won't.
Nah.
Alright. Alright. That's perfectly fine. So, yeah, Alberta just clicks her tongue at you and says, well, I will just have to embellish a little. Don't worry, dear, it will be alright. And she takes a few measurements, takes a few pictures, walks around, stares at you, ends up staring into space for a few minutes as she's visualizing an amazing work of art, apparently, and eventually she lets you know that you can go. And it's been, well, we're gonna say that it's been 2.5, 3 hours that you've been in Elysium. Okay? And we can go back to the Chantry and assign experience for this session.
Ooh, experience!
So, I think you deserve an extra point, Sarath, for a really good roleplay with your new ghoul. That whole
Good roleplay!
thing worked really, really well. And I want both of you to tell me what your characters have learned, or any major emotional reactions or defining moments that you might have had for another bonus point.
Well, Alberta isn't planning on killing me anytime soon. But that's not exactly what you're looking for, so I'm going to say that the fact that I got a ghoul is pretty important. My first ghoul. I think it's a pretty important part of every single vampire's story. Or if you're not going to count that, since I already got an XP point for that.
I mean, important goals are generally something that's important for the whole group, so
I
no.
didn't mean an important goal, I meant an important thing for every vampire. Like, it's kind of a big deal
so
getting your
you
person.
have a feeling of that this is some sort of a rite of passage, then? That you're finally growing
Essentially,
up? Okay,
yes.
okay. I'm okay with that. Raffaello, what have you learned?
That Alberta Whittle is a bitch?
Okay, perfectly reasonable. So, I mean, if you want to nominate a point where Raffaello or you did something that approaches sheer badassery, uh, that is, or really good roleplay, you can try and nominate that uh, and try and get another XP point. If you convince Sarath and me that it's reasonable, we're gonna count an extra XP point for that as well.
I don't think that I made much things to happen in this section.
Well, you did fine. You managed to get yourself ambushed rather nicely. And sure, you did good with Fat Tony. You roleplayed the Italian bit, played with the Mafia thing. You even had the idea of using the Mafia to forge and change the records on the Chantry deed to essentially steal it from the prince. So sure, I'm actually willing to let you have an experience point for that. So it's 4 experience points for both of you. Please make sure to write it down properly.
Ooh, XP!
And since it's still been rather calm times, you can actually use the experience with my approval if you want to buy something up. Generally speaking, it's things that you have either studied in the downtime or, or used in a real in-game situation. So, I'm gonna end the recording here, and if you have any questions or any experience you want to spend, just type it in the chat and we'll handle it there.